Well, it took me a couple months. I made you a promise that I would get to talking about this. I mean, I'm sorry I didn't do it upon the week of release, but I admit another movie came out that weekend that I was much more interested in.
Spotlight! And a drum roll, please.
No! You were traumatized by him.
I can be both.
The Force will be with you.
Always.
Rise of Skywalker is now out on Blu-ray. I hope that you all are managed to get out and get it in lieu of current circumstances. We picked it up on the day of. Picked up a beautiful version of the DVD with the at Target, so definitely recommend that. That was a good one. But some months have gone by. We've let it stew. But let's go back to when we first initially saw it. So.
Well, I kind of had a heads up on a lot of information. Yeah, I got spoiled like horribly.
Like months in advance, you kept telling me.
Yeah,
like,
I read something on the internet. I was like, oh, that sounds like crap, whatever. Or yeah, that sounds alright, maybe whatever. And I was like, oh crap, was that real? But it was very dumbed down, so it didn't have a lot of detail in it. It was like bare bones story. But my friend was at the red carpet, so she saw the movie good 4 days beforehand. So I knew about some stuff.
Yeah. And
also hearing her groan right next to me because she was seeing it the second time, I kind of knew bad things were about to happen. But watching it wasn't to soak in. Like, I had a lot of emotions, but they didn't know how to fit into the right position, so I just kind of was in this daze.
There was a kind of trepidation walking into this one, also on my side, because all I had to go on was just the initial reactions from critics.
Force Awakens, I walked in blind. I walked out amazed. Last Jedi, I walked in, I was blind. I had no idea what was going to happen. I walked out just kind of going, oh my god, totally mind blown, didn't know where any of that came from. I enjoyed it, and then I had to hide under a rock for 2 years. This one, walking in, I was kind of like, already knew some things, and I was just like, could it ever live up to what I need? Like, is it possible? And I walked out going, a lot of things happened. It was not that I didn't like it. It was just more just my brain wasn't computing everything into... Because I was walking into this movie going, I'm probably going to watch a character I love die.
Yeah.
Probably going to. I got to take that into account. But seeing it still happen is really freaking hard.
I think on my side, this was kind of a big one for me for the simple fact that this is the trilogy that made me a Star Wars fan. That's kind of a big thing. So I will go to bat for this trilogy over anyone who's going to go say that the prequel trilogy is better. I'm like, no, honey, no. I was really worried that this wasn't going to stick the landing and that it was going to be tarnished for me from here on out. And walking out of it, I actually had a sublime catharsis because I went back and reflected upon the trilogy as a whole, and I just came to the realization that history has pretty much repeated itself. This is the equivalent to Return of the Jedi, just because, even Jedi, for as much as we enjoy it, doesn't match up to Empire as far as its complexity, as far as its plot.
Or to A New Hope, even.
Or even to A New Hope. And this one, kind of the same thing. I mean, Last Jedi, love it or hate it, was a challenging film. It didn't hold your hand. It didn't pander to you.
But Empire didn't either.
Exactly. I think now, collectively, I know how everyone felt when they saw the initial trilogy. Yeah. So that's...
There's a lot of emotions, so it was really hard to process everything, but that kind of was the way with even Last Jedi first time watching it. In that case, our seats were moving, but soaking it all in, you're just kind of like, and this was also the end of all 9, so your brain has got so much information coming in, you're trying to catch every little thing, and that movie doesn't give you time to breathe. But you literally are going boom, 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 and you're like, wait. I remember at one point in that film, it was when they go to, it's just after she's a Palpatine and all that, I literally sat there going, how many things have just happened? And I'm not soaking it. I have no time to soak this in. And I'm a little traumatized because the character I love just died, I guess. And I'm just like...
I'm actually really happy that we took the time to do a retrospect versus an initial reaction, because a lot of feelings can have time to stew and evolve.
Well, you learn more things.
And you also learn a lot more things.
More
and
viewings, catch more stuff.
Exactly. since it initially came out, I got to see it at least 3 times in the theaters. You saw it 2 times in the theaters. And we just watched it when we got it home from BluRay.
I've also read the novelization.
And yes, she got.
I highly recommend it. For Force Awakens and Last Jedi, they're alright. I mean, they're good.
Mhm.
But this one adds a lot more stuff, and it's stuff because you know they couldn't have done. It's a lot of stuff with Leia, which you couldn't have done, and stuff that I just don't know why wasn't even in the movie. An example is, why were there 2 wayfinders? Well, it tells you it's one for the master and one for the apprentice. 2 Sith, 2 wayfinders.
There was a part of me in my
Right,
brain.
it's like something like you probably would assume, but it's nice to hear it.
Yeah.
Just little bits of information. Yes, we get the explanation as to Rey's father is not actually Palpy's biological technical son. He's more like a Jango to Boba Fett type clone thing. I don't know how you would have even told us that in the movie. It's not even important technically. It's just fun information, but it kind of thickens up the concepts that they were going for.
So Palpatine did not anybody.
We're very vocal people. We were surrounded by Star Wars fans, so it was fine to make a comment or something. And when Kylo says, like, "You're a Palpatine," I very loudly went, "So he did get laid one more time."
What am I supposed to call myself, Darth Syphilis? If you'd made up your mind 5 seconds earlier, we could have ruled the galaxy, and maybe I could have gotten laid one more time before I died.
The book, I highly recommend. It's not a hard read. It's very short. But it just adds little things that, even reading it, you could go, "Oh, I know why that wasn't in there," or tons of information on Leia, but clearly why it's not there.
Yeah.
Very important things that made scenes that I actually hated in the movie suddenly not bad.
In the time since, in the interim, I've been able to do a lot of mental gymnastics in order to, because of course one of the major accusations levied against this movie was, a lot of people said it backpedaled on a lot of things from Last Jedi, and for a gloss over, yeah, you could say that, but for me, even when I was watching it initially, I just kept making connections in my head to actually come to the realization they didn't actually deviate too far. They actually found some ways to still make connections, and they did keep a lot of really cool stuff from Last Jedi that they did in here. Of course, my favorite thing is the idea that you can actually transport matter across the ether from one location to another.
Oh yeah,
that
was cool.
And it came to play with some really cool stuff in Rise of Skywalker.
And there were some moments where they kind of were doing the middle finger at people who were complaining about Last Jedi. They called like the Holdo maneuver.
Oh,
that,
yeah.
that only works once. And I was like, "Oh, you just called people out on that."
But we did get to see that someone used it over the Forest Moon of Endor. So
someone went hardcore.
Yeah.
There was also Luke's little quip about that. You show respect to a Jedi. I'm like, you can say that, sir.
You are, yeah.
But I know what you just did there.
And also for everyone who's always quibbling about Leia using the Force to pull herself back to the ship in Last Jedi, well, now we found out that, oh yeah, she did train with Luke. And I was like,
you didn't think that would happen. I don't know. That part. Okay, I did read the books. I read the old comics. That was always happening. So I was just like, okay, so they.
Yeah.
Why is it nowadays? Y'all have to have everything told to you and spoon fed.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest. I read the book now, which does spoon feed everything to you. Most of it I figured out just from watching the movie, just using my brain.
Yeah, and even just listening to even the most subtlest of cues, like of course, a big one being Finn being Force sensitive. He actually says it in his conversation with Janna.
I'm sorry, you couldn't figure out when he goes, "It's that ship." How do you know? It's just a feeling.
Just
freaking know it there. It's like, oh, that's what you're saying.
And even more, and actually, I really love that development because when you actually really think back to
it totally makes
even
sense.
when he showed up. Well, first off, his initial inclination to separate from the First Order, and even how, amidst all of his odds of randomly wandering throughout the desert of Jakku, that he fortuitously ends up with.
It makes sense, and even people I think were hinting that they thought maybe he was Force sensitive at least.
I mean, the great thing about the initial advertisement of Force Awakens was that people that they were teasing who was the person. And
both of them.
And I was like, it was a nice payoff.
I thought that was great. We just pull out Poe. Everything he did was perfect.
Yeah, Poe was wonderful. And I had a blast with him. Well, actually, I think my central thing I loved, because we only had it in bits and pieces of Rey with Finn with Poe.
It's all three of them together.
And people kept saying you didn't get much of that. I'm like, no, this is exactly what I wanted to see, like almost like a Scooby Gang.
If that happened in Empire, you went from them barely knowing each other, just doing the one escape sequence in the Death Star together. When you get to Empires, 4 years later, all of a sudden you can darn well tell that Leia and Han have somehow had some relationship thing going on. They're already on the outs. And it's like, you're just supposed to believe that and go. And I'm like, okay, wait, that's okay, but we're going to question these three people working together when we've seen them work together in sections.
Yeah.
And we know they're friends, and it's been a year, and they're working together like a family. Why are we being critical all of a sudden? Like,
yeah.
I could tell the friendship between them perfectly.
The first bit when Rey and Poe are arguing, over between damaging BB-8, damaging the Falcon.
And Finn is totally the middle ground.
Yeah. Shocked that people said that wasn't development. I was like, honestly, that was the first.
That's nitpick.
That was
that's
nitpicking.
what you're seeing and what you don't want to see. Because that is the one catch with all Star Wars, is that it's what you do see and what you don't see, and people will make a judgment on that. People seeing what characters feel for each other, how they interpret their actions, versus what is it? You know, I mean, how many people think Luke and Leia were gonna hook up in Empire? And they're like, well, they kissed. Did you watch the scene? She was clearly pissed off with Han, and she kissed him to piss Han off. And Luke was just being a little bitch about it. He was not. There was no chemistry. That was literally I'm kissing this other dude to piss you off.
You know what? I think J.J. Abrams just felt that it was a quota that this trilogy needed, was a kiss that can easily be misinterpreted.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. If that's
they're not related. That ongoing problem.
Well, I mean, I've always
that's getting technical. That's getting super.
Hey, I've always said Anakin and Palpatine got it on. You know.
Well, they look like they had bad sex.
Yeah. Watch it again. There's certain scenes in Revenge of the Sith where if you adhere to the acting method of previous action prior to a scene, there's one scene where when it starts, it looks like Anakin and Palpatine had really bad sex.
I hope you trust me, Anakin.
Yeah, it's a. The second you say that, it ruins the whole scene after that.
Or makes it way better, depending on your mentality.
The look on their faces is not telling me it was a good scene.
Hey, I was laughing in my head, so I'm like... I
don't even want that image. One consistent good thing throughout the entire new trilogy. And this has been consistent on all three films. Even Last Jedi haters can admit this is one good thing that transcended all.
Yeah.
And it was Kylo Ren.
I think we even said it in our Last Jedi discussion when we said, because they did such a good job in Force Awakens establishing him being such a torn character, he could go one way or the other, and it would have worked no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the way they chose him to go, which is being redeemed, I didn't want it to be like Anakin 2.0, which I never actually liked his redemption. I always thought it was it was simple.
Well, even his fall to the dark side and his initial redemption
it's kind of
were very like, oh, hey, that happened.
And then, back again.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he's very quick. This, I was like, just please do it right or do it better. And they did.
Yeah.
If he had stayed dark, it would have still worked, and I would have been very interested in that. I think it would have been a sadness of effort to save this person totally lost.
Yeah.
But
I suppose now I'm at peace with the route they took, principally because...
For him, absolutely.
Principally because this is the end of the Skywalker saga, and it would have been tragic to see that the Skywalker line ends with...
With darkness. Yeah. That actually is... That, and the way I see it is that he sacrificing himself, which... Okay, this is in the book, so I'm just going to say it. The reason he brings back Rey and sacrifices himself is literally he knows that he has done so much bad stuff that there's no redemption. He does not deserve a redemption. He does not deserve any kindness. But if he could just do one thing to at least try to tip the scale, try to bring some good into the universe, is to bring back Rey, because he knows she is good.
Yeah.
And he willingly sacrifices himself to bring her back. He wasn't trying to do this to win anything over. And I'm like, that's actually he was being a good person. He did the right thing. The
scene I was worried was going to be pandering the first time I see him pop up, but then the scene, the way it's written, was when he has the vision of Han showing up. That
was well done.
I was worried at the second I saw him. I'm like, oh. And
I wasn't worried. I kind of was like, okay, this could be really... I went on positive. I said, oh, this could be really good. And also kind of makes sense. This is the final movie. We should probably have everyone make an appearance.
Yeah.
But I loved it. I thought that scene was really good.
And I love the idea that this is just a conversation that Ben Solo's always had in his head, that he knows he was
he
always
makes
going to
that
have.
Acknowledgement
Yeah.
that this is not real. It's all in his head. And I'm like, that's pretty good. I have no actual quarrels with his storyline.
Colin Trevorrow's breakdown of his synopsis came through.
The actual script's available.
Oh, it was the actual script?
Yeah, the real script. Well, the first draft.
Okay.
It's got good moments in it. I would say as much as I would still have been entertained, I don't know how I'd feel about Kyle going that dark and that. Basically, it's like an extreme version of Jason Solo, which we've had.
Yeah.
And it was okay. It would have been sad because at least with the EU, you had other Skywalkers and Solos. You had Ben Skywalker, you had Jaina Solo. So you had the line going with some good people. This would be like, meh. Well, that and like Adam Driver's amazing.
Yeah, Adam Driver is.
What's behind the scenes is that he pretty much created the character himself. So
even to the point where he did his own stunts for this movie.
Yeah, he did his own stunts and he did them his way. Apparently, the scary stunt coordinator, like everyone was intimidated by this woman, but he was the one person to say, "No, I know how this character would do this, and I'm going to do it." And she's like, "Okay, but if I don't like it, you're not doing it." And apparently, she liked it, so he did it anyway. But you can kind of see the passion in that character. Like he really put his effort in there, and the effort is very visible, which I think helps sell the character even more.
Yeah, and honestly, it's stuff like that, which is why it's no shock to me that Adam Driver has catapulted. He's as an actor.
I've seen him on stage. Man's got talent.
Yeah, she got to see him in a New York production of Burn This.
I was in Front
Row Center.
He was like 3 feet from me. That man's huge.
And I mean, if you ever have any doubts of his versatility, just watch this
SNL?
clip. Yeah, just watch this clip.
Now, what does an oil baron do? The answer? Crush your enemies! Grind their bones into dirt!
I mean, the most important thing of all is that, especially seeing him in Ben Solo mode when he's fighting everyone, I can now finally see that he is the child of both Han Solo and Leia.
Yeah.
And talking of Leia, I'm still dazzled by what they had to do to compensate for the...
They were put into a position because before the movie came out, everyone's like, are you going to recast? Are you going to kill her off screen? Are you going to do the CG thing? And nobody liked any of the answers.
Yeah.
No one's like, you better not recast. You better not kill her off screen. You better not do... I'm like, well, what are you going to do? And I actually was like, so what's the answer? And they're like, oh, we're going to just use old footage. And I'm like, what? And you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
They seamlessly put that in there.
I think with the passage of time is that when new fans come on board and they watch this, it's so seamless that you couldn't even tell. It also helps that they had probably the most perfect body double.
Oh, yeah.
Billie Lourd, who, Carrie Fisher's daughter, was working on all 3 films, and she got to do a lot of body work.
I mean,
for her.
the sadness is that, again, read the book, Leia had a lot more to say and a lot more to do, which they could not do because they didn't have that footage. So it is sad that you don't get a lot of plotting and a lot of internal information due to that. However, the payment of her being honored, and I do feel that Leia was honored in this film very well, is more important in this case.
They even gave her a beautiful, dignified ending as well. And I think that's the big thing, is that it's got to be a death on a par with Han's and Luke's.
Yeah, no, I think they all 3 got good ends to their characters. Basically, someone made a point, I don't know where I read this, is that all 3 passed in a way to save Ben. And it was steps up to it. And that after all 3, it finally worked.
Yeah.
So all that effort of the 3 is to save their lineage, which by all accounts they do, because Ben Solo gets saved, that ends up helping Rey, and then she defeats Palpy, and then she's saved in the Skywalker legend and lineage, because, listen, you all say, oh, she just took the name. How much did you like The Mandalorian and the whole clan thing? It's not actual blood, by the way. Just saying.
And the central theme of the entire movie is the idea that you are not bound by your lineage.
Or your blood.
Yeah. You're not obligated to follow a path. but it is a choice that's on the table.
Yeah.
In the end, the whole point is that you have full autonomy to decide your own destiny, and you don't have to let external factors like where you came from or who you are be the ultimate determination.
Just who's your parent, or is your grandparent, or cousin, or nephew, or roommate, whatever.
Yeah, they should just be factors in. They can be factors into what sways your decision, but it doesn't have to be the major factor behind
that
it.
kind of was a thing even in the first one, where everyone was making a big deal about her parents, and everyone was like, well, who cares?
That is a good segue to the shortcomings of the movies, the stuff that I can't even call them shortcomings, but they are things that did kind of make it hard to gauge our feelings about the movie upon initial viewing.
Yeah, it was the first thing that stuck out in my head when I saw the movie, and the first thing I walked out grinding my teeth was pandering. And I'm not talking about fan service. You fan service is all you want. Force Awakens, all this fan service was wonderful, loved it. There's fan service, which would be like Wedge being X in the battle.
Or the Ghost, or even
the Ghost,
or the Star Tours vehicle.
Yeah, that's fan service. It's fun and silly, and it's a call out. Mandalorian does a ton of fan service. They had the ice cream thing.
Yeah, the ice cream thing.
That's fine. You can fan service all. We're seeing the Jawas, and you hear one scream Houdini.
It doesn't.
That's not pandering.
It doesn't interfere with the progression of the story. It's just a nice little thing to have on the side.
Pandering, like, okay. I hate to say it, but Palpy coming back was pandering to people who want Palpy.
Well, probably the worst pandering I'd say this movie did is what they did to poor Kelly Marie Tran, and basically that was bullshit.
I don't believe a lick of what they're saying, which is her character was connected to Leia because they're limited on what they can do with Leia, limited on bullshit.
No.
You could have given Dominic Monaghan, love you, but give him his lines to Rose. Rose could have been there more. She could have been on screen a little more. She's on the movie like a minute.
A minute? I think they actually clocked it. It was like a full 72 seconds.
You cut her down because of all the jerks and
toxic man babies,
little people out there who are harassing her and blaming her because you didn't like one sequence in a movie. 2.5-hour movie, you don't like 15 minutes of it, you blame her for it.
Yeah.
Get over yourselves.
Yeah.
She's a wonderful person. She deserved better.
And you know what? She has the patience of frickin' Job to have to put up with half the crap.
And you know what? She's got more talent than a whole lot of you out there.
Because look at her. She's in a Star Wars movie. Where are
you're
you?
Not. Oh, okay, I'm going to throw my bomb down. One of the things I really hated in this movie, initially, I've come to peace with it now. Kiss. That stupid ass kiss.
Damn kiss. Oh, no, you remember when I saw it, even I go, ugh.
We both did.
Oh, no, we both did. But you were so proud of me when I did that. You were just
I was very happy you did.
I was like, ugh.
I was like, okay. That is in there because of a very little vocal, apparently I'm finding out minority, I thought it was a majority.
Yeah, that's okay.
Have this hard on for a romantic plot between Rey and Kylo. Okay, listen, this is not Phantom of the Opera, and if you've ever listened to that play, watched that play, you know it's not a very healthy thing for the Phantom and Christine.
These are two very emotionally inaccessible people who should probably never be in a relationship.
Well, especially him. But even then, ain't no time for that. So just no.
Priorities.
But the idea is that they had some kind of a connection. Okay, that's fine. I mean, bad guys, good guys have connections. It's normal. But because it's a woman and a man, they have this love of a romance, of the forbidden romance type thing. Now, you all want to have fun with that on your own terms. You want to do your fanfics. Trust me, I understand. That's cool. But when you won't push that into the movie, into the actual stories, it's just not the best.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. Their connection in this film is so good. It's so clever. It's well done. It's complex. And then it has a kiss at the end. And it's like, so what are you trying to say? And it's also not a clear romantic kiss.
It's probably one of the most unsexiest kisses in cinema history.
There's really no sexy
it was.
Well, no, it was. Well, the thing is, he doesn't actually kiss her back at first.
No, he doesn't.
No, he's more like, huh?
Yeah.
And she smiles and then he dies. But it's really just feels forced.
I admit I was a bit of a sadist after the movie came out, where I was like going, you see, you succumb to fan fiction and you die.
The scene could have still worked perfectly if they pressed their foreheads against one another or hugged or something. Why a kiss? Because unfortunately society's belief is if a man and a woman kiss, it has to be, actually if anyone kisses, it has to be romance.
Mm-hmm.
Shocker, people do kiss and not actually have romantic base. So it pissed me off because I felt that they were just pandering to this loud demographic on Twitter and Instagram or whatever, that MG, Ray and Kyla, they're in love, and they gonna be together, have all the babies. Oh, he did. Now, here's the catch. I was very annoyed by this because I felt it was pandering and it was an insult to both characters.
Mm.
Just the kiss, not the actual
Yeah,
plot,
no,
but just, I thought that was like a cheap shot at the very end.
Yeah.
Until I read the book. The book specifies, not only does it specify that when they do a little force trick, that they do have a connection, but never uses the term love, never uses the term romance, or anything of those natures. It's more of like a soulmate kinship. They're the yin and yang. They share an existence. But it does not say it's romantic. It does not say it's sexual. It's not that. So when she kissed him, it actually says in the book, it was a kiss of gratitude.
It was basically the Star Wars equivalent of the Eighth Doctor kissing Grace.
Yeah.
Basically.
She was happy that he was Ben, that he had what he had done for her, that he'd come back. It was gratitude.
And that her faith was vindicated in redeeming him.
Well, she's more glad it actually happened.
Yeah.
Like, that he's okay, that, because of course she thinks he's okay. I don't think she realized she died. I don't know. But it was specifically says gratitude. And then after he dies, she actually has the thoughts of she wishes she knew who Ben Solo was. Like, she doesn't know who he is. She's known Kylo the whole time. At most, she's like, well, he's a good fighter and he has some kind of sense of responsibility.
Yeah,
but the book specifies it out as their connection was more of a platonic soulmate. Now, if he had lived, could have something grown?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, especially him now as Ben Solo.
Maybe, but clearly that door was like shut already, so she wasn't even thinking about it. That's why she doesn't look so sad when she's flying away. She just kind of looks, you know.
Yeah.
But I kind of thought it was weird. I'm like, okay, if you love this person and this person loved you, wouldn't you have some more emotions or something? So I was very like, I don't know what you're trying to tell me here, but basically I think it was never meant to actually have the kiss, and that was put in to pander to the people who just wanted to see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and fortunately, even the way Adam Driver and Daisy Ridley do it, it feels like there was that level of awkwardness to it.
It was a bit of an awkward. Well, especially because in interviews back after Celebration last year, Daisy actually said that she didn't feel that there was any romantic connection between the two characters. I remember that because my ears perked. I was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, I'm hearing someone say that. Cool.
Yeah,
But that falls into the pandering to a loud minority who thinks that they know better. So Disney heard complaints, listened, and tried to appease those complaints. Only the problem was that the internet works differently. Just because you're loud doesn't mean you're right, or that you should be listened to.
As evidenced by the current political climate.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Of course, yeah, as we mentioned before, the major bit of pandering was the return of Palpatine. That was kind of a big deal. Of course, everyone pretty much knew it when they revealed the first teaser trailer, when he did the thing at the end of it. On one side, I was, they could make this work if they find a way to do it right. I would say presentation-wise, strictly with the movie, maybe not so much. I think they even though I did like, they did have that wonderful callback line from one of the few great lines from Revenge of the Sith. About, you know, that the Sith have ways that are that
Oh yeah, no, that was
funny. I actually really like that callback line because it was actually one of the few really great lines from
He's also calling back to his one of his best style, monologues about Darth
Plagueis.
That's also in the book. It really goes into like all that Sith technology that's keeping him alive, all that good stuff. It's kind of fun. It's just fun to know.
Yeah, I mean, some people mocked him on the robot arm. I don't know. Me, I'm like, well, he's pretty much a wizened corpse. I mean, he's a living wizened corpse that's containing, which they have confirmed that is a clone body.
Yeah. When
it was announced that he was coming back, I had the theory because I was like, how do you get from falling to your death to getting to this point? Clones didn't enter my head. It actually did kind of enter my head, but I had the idea of logically, if you can communicate through the Force, what's they're saying you couldn't transfer a consciousness through the Force?
I read Dark Empire. Yeah, all the clones, all the Palby doing the Palby things. The second I heard him laugh, and I'm like, yeah, it's possible. He's done it before. Sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
Palpatine's the kind of person who has played the long game, engineered a massive war on both sides, and
That
doing
is Palpy being Palpy.
yeah, all for the sake of building the Empire. And given the fact that it's pretty blatantly clear he killed his own master, I think I think it probably entered into his mind the very real possibility that his own apprentice will kill him.
Palpy, it's Palpy being Palpy. So, like, as much as it is pandering that they brought him back, he was doing exactly what Palpy does. I mean, that was no difference to Palpy being Palpy.
I was not averse to the idea that he was a puppet master, engineering everything that occurred in this trilogy, but it's blatantly clear that because they didn't have a consistent...
JG claims that it was an idea at the beginning.
Yeah, it's like...
I'm like, you lying.
We can agree they did give Rian Johnson a lot of carte blanche to do what he wanted to do.
I think that they should have at least given some bullet points of FYI. We need to keep a couple of lines, just don't walk around them, but keep the lines there, which don't kill off somebody we need, or which I don't think they really... Okay, case in point, I hated Snoke, so I was good with him going.
Yeah,
He
actually,
boring.
one thing I was very happy that I was right about with the revelation of Palpatine coming back was like, well, who's Snoke? I was like, Snoke is a freaking meat puppet. He is he is quite literally a meat puppet. I would imagine necromancy would be another power the Sith might.
I haven't read the Sith book in a long time. Probably.
But even then, well, one thing I'm trying to remember who said it, but one thing that was always, I think it may have been Lucas himself, but he openly said that with every movie he wanted to show a new angle of what can be done with the Force. I mean, on both sides of the spectrum.
They keep coming up with new ideas. They've always been coming up. Every movie they came up with new things. Speaking of new things, which I didn't see as pandering, is the healing ability.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you all think you weren't playing Dark Forces Jedi Knight and didn't go with the light side because you could then heal yourself with the Force? That is an old school move, and even the child, aside from the child doing it. Force healing, okay, no offense, but the fanfiction.net, go check it out. They all know about Force healing years ago. Not new. Don't pretend like you didn't know about it.
And even then...
the video games, too. Come on.
And even then, I'm shocked to the idea that people would think that wouldn't be a thing, especially for light side users. I mean...
It's exclusive to the light side. You can't use it on the left.
I mean, if the idea of the Force is the idea of an energy that binds us and is ever-present, logically, like...
Well, it's because Rey did it and...
Yeah, well, no, she didn't do it first. The child did it first. Baby Yoda, and you all love Baby Yoda, so accept
That's why...
it.
Oh, no, Baby Yoda gets a pass because it's cute. It can do everything it wants. It can...
He is freaking cute.
He is really cute.
With reflection, I'm actually okay with Palpatine being the big bad of... And when you think about the fact that this is all the Skywalker saga, when JJ said that really Palpatine should have some part to play in the whole thing, because this is meant to be all about the path of the Skywalker, and Palpatine was deeply interwoven with it. So the idea to end this trilogy on this as well is fine. I think what I'd like to do, and since they have no problem adding McClunky to it, I think it's safe to say that, especially with this trilogy, I think people will be not too resistant to the idea of 3-hour cut, or even 3-hour cut, or even a special edition where they go back to throughout this trilogy and maybe very subtly insert little allusions to the idea that Palpatine might.
Like he couldn't do it.
I mean, even like the shot of Snoke's corpse, and just have echoing in the back the sound of Palpatine's laughter, or something like that. Little things.
You could do some I mean, maybe some anniversary.
Use some
more BluRays
or
streaming.
Yeah, or even Force Awakens, like a cool little maybe. Snoke was basically CGI anyway.
He was a hologram.
So wouldn't it be cool, like, to have just a shot of him in his quarters where all of a sudden he just falls limp, and then you hear Palpatine's voice? I'm like, that'd be kind of cool.
There's stuff you could do just to have a little fun with it. Like, you want to do the ultimate cut and have all 3 films combined.
Something to just weave it all together to make it a little less disparate. It was a route they took. It may not be the most interesting route, but it was safe. That it was safe.
They played it pretty freaking safe, to be honest. But that's because they played it not safe with Last Jedi, which I loved. And I like playing not safe. Just like Empire was unsafe, and they went back to safe and made a second Death Star.
Exactly.
That's why Force Awakens played it safe. Force Awakens played it safe. The only dangerous thing they did was they killed Han Solo.
Yeah.
That was actually ballsy. But aside from that, they played that super safe.
I suppose the best thing...
They want to make accessible to everybody.
I suppose the best way to describe Rise of Skywalker is probably one of my favorite, a great line from Rick and Morty. Where
Ain't you building a monument to compromise?
Yeah.
I think that's probably the best way to describe Rise of Skywalker.
It's a compromise to try to make everyone happy, and overall, I've heard less complaining about it. Like, the people who didn't like it are kind of like just sitting there and stewing, and they're not saying anything, but they're not being jerks about it. Mm-hmm. Whereas, for some reason, in The Last Jedi, if you didn't like it, you were a jerk about it.
Yeah.
And don't pretend like you weren't, because you were.
Yeah, you really
2
were.
years, man, I dealt with that. Whereas if you don't like Rise of Skywalker, you just kind of sit there and go, yeah, I didn't like it, or I have issues with it. But mostly people have not been that bad.
A good final thing to talk about is the future of Star Wars. Now, of course, Disney is going to milk this puppy for all it's worth.
Well, I mean, they've made a lot of money.
They made a lot of monies, but and a lot of people are still saying, oh, it's a horrible thing. But honestly, take yourself back and remember when the prequel trilogy was complete. And now the kids who watch the prequel trilogy, they're all grown up now. A lot of that generation became fans because I know
you're starting the new generation.
Yeah, and you're seeing kids now dressed up like Rey, dressed up like Finn. For all you dyed-in-the-wool OT fans, you got to bear in mind
it's not about you.
It's not just about you. It's about everybody.
Back when we could go back to Galaxy's Edge, I mean, how many times you saw little kids like following around the stormtroopers of Chewie or Rey or whoever, and they're freaking out. And it's like, yeah, those kids, they weren't alive when the prequels came out, and they were definitely not alive during the OT.
Yeah,
and they are introduced now.
There's going to be so many ways they're going to take it now, and honestly, I would rather they experiment with different vestiges, different ideas for the future. And I think the good thing about this being the wrap up of the Skywalker saga,
we can move on.
They can move on finally, and with less fuss. I'd say one of the accusations that have been, or like a lot of the hate that was levied against this trilogy, was the fact that it still involved characters that they loved.
It's a legacy, the Skywalker legacy, and people are very protective of it. People are not as protective about Rogue One because who are these people? Even the Solo movie, yeah, okay, it's Han Solo, but they didn't do anything to him that was dangerous or bad.
Exactly.
They were just giving us what was there. It was very, that was safe. But even with The Mandalorian, they're giving you just what is, but they're not stepping on what people almost see as a religion, which the Skywalker stuff, man, people are tight on that.
Oh yeah, in fact, to the point where, and it's funny, I'm actually rewatching Last Jedi right now, but even in Last Jedi, he actually made a point about how the Jedi were deified because of the passage of time.
Yeah, and I'm like, did you watch
Clone
Wars?
And here I'm going like, I think that was basically a little shot at the fans who have deified characters like Luke Skywalker.
I don't know if it really was because, again, I literally had watched Clone Wars, and I was like, no, that's true. People thought that the Jedi were so great, and I'm like, yeah, if you watch the Clone Wars, you know the Jedi were not.
No.
They were some garbage.
Yeah.
And actually, if you know, even before that, they performed genocide on the Sith, like before there was just the two.
Yeah.
They are not innocent. They are not deities, but people remember them as that, and it's like, So I actually saw that more as a call out to established information. And the idea that, you remember the good, you won't remember the bad.
Yeah.
Or whatever fits into your boat.
I mean, whatever happens now we're actually in a kind of, in a way, Rise of Skywalker could be a good springboard point to open it up to new things.
I'm kind of excited about The Mandalorian 2, Cassian, Obi-Wan,
and
come on,
we've got
big galaxy, let's have some fun.
Exactly, and apparently they're coming out with a whole series of new books taking place
200 years earlier or something?
Actually, no, I think about a good 1,000 years before the...
It's before the prequels.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah, and it's a big universe.
You got Fallen Order.
Emphasis, we got Fallen Order. Emphasis on the term universe. The great thing about a universe is that it's not just about one set of people. We can actually explore the universe now, and whatever they do next with Star Wars, they're free to do whatever they want.
I mean, I kind of like the films. The Rogue One, Solo. I liked having a single movie that's just a side story. I kind of liked it. It was a little breaking up. I mean, series are great, and they definitely can give you more. But it was kind of nice to have that one movie. Just, hey, there you go, and anything that could springboard something else.
I mean, and there's a lot of characters who didn't really get a chance to have their time with
Or
the
got
sun.
done dirty.
You
There were
got-
some characters that got
Actually,
done
there
dirty.
was-
No, wait. Okay. Everyone will say, oh, Ben Solo got done dirty, or Ray, or Palpy, or whoever. They won't say done dirty. The only one character got done serious dirty in Rise of Skywalker. But General Hux got so screwed.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot. Maybe I pushed it in my mind. He got screwed.
He got boned. While I did love the betrayal,
Although, that was fine.
the betrayal was fine, and even the reason why he did it was
That
great.
was fine.
I don't care if you win. I need Kylo Ren to lose.
And then very promptly and unceremoniously killed this character who they actually focus on and actually built time to actually develop some
And
kind
it's
of...
in a lot of the additional media too, building up things. He's in the freaking rides. I mean,
Yeah.
come on, like.
This is a
what?
beloved character, and they...
Yeah, he is. Okay.
Yeah.
And you know what? They should do a spin-off movie for him. Listen, don't lie. He probably was wearing some armor under that freaking shirt. I don't think he died. The book, it does not say he died. It didn't. So I think we could have like some kind of spin-off movie for him. Yeah. Did you not see it? Like, he even pitched them out. Donald Gleason even pitched out all those different ideas. I mean, I don't think some of them were good ideas, but I bet you that he could have his own movie franchise story, of his own, after
Like-
Rise of Skywalker, because there ain't nothing else for him to do.
I don't know, I mean, what kind of idea could you possibly...
I think I could come up with something.
Really?
Yeah, totally. 100%. I bet you it could happen in Hollywood, too. You know Hollywood will do anything.